Afternoon. I'm Caroline. Caroline Branham. It's nice to make your acquaintance. I happen to be setting myself aside, getting some stitching, some of my sewing done. I'm a chambermaid here at Mount Vernon. Under Mrs. Washington, that is. I'm a Custis diary slave. I take care of the needs of the family, visitors, and guests in that great big mansion house out there, 21 rooms. 10 bed chambers alone, so that's an awful lot of work that has to be done. I start most days round and about 4 o'clock, round about time that the cocks start to crow. Go inside the house by way of the kitchen, taking heated water with me upstairs, pour it inside the washstand basins, assist Mrs. Washington with her dressing and grooming needs for the day. I clean and empty out the chamber pots, always making sure to leave a touch of water in them. It helps to stave off odors. I'm the person that lights the fires for Master Washington in the morning. Yes, I do. He likes to rise at 5 o'clock. He is a very timely man. Does not abide by tardiness. That's a lesson you only need to learn one time, if you get my meaning. I make the beds, change the linens as necessary. 7 o'clock, we do have our breaking of the fast. Oh, assisting serving and cleaning up. As of late, Master Washington's taken to eating mush cakes. Cornmeal mush cakes is slave food for the most part, but he changes the name of them. He calls them hoe cakes and eats them all fancy like with honey and butter. Boy, he does enjoy those. I clean up there afterwards, always paying special attention to napkins and tablecloths, making sure everything is clean and in good repair for the next meal's use, and then I go about sweeping, polishing, mopping, dusting throughout that very large household. Some days they say to me, Caroline, turn all the mattresses. Other days it's Caroline, blacken the fireplaces. But most every day, I'll have you to know, I polish that handrail in there from top to bottom. I use beeswax. And once I finish with those assignments, I'm also a skilled sewer, as you may have guessed. I'm responsible for making clothes for the slaves on this farm, as well as the other 4 farms. Master Washington, that's 5 altogether. 8,000 acres. He's quite wealthy. Yes, and you live wherever it is that you work. I work right here on Mansion House Farm, so I live right here on Mansion House Farm. Master Washington says that a man ought to be to work by the time the sun is warming the earth, and he follows after that very command and rule in that most mornings he is up 5 o'clock, and shortly after breaking a fast and he's attended to his studies and whatever he needs to do he goes out and visits all 5 of the farms. And so he's often not here, very much like my beloved Peter, who's often not here, but that's all right. That's all right. Come nightfall, he does come back and visit. Have you heard of Peter? Peter Hardeman? He's Master Washington's prized groomsman and a breeder. To date, he has bred for Master Washington 25 horses. 25, mind you. So Master Washington's right well pleased with him. Now he lets him go about from all of the farms, tending to all the horses, donkeys, and mules and such. Yes, he is my beloved. Come nightfall, he does come and rest his head beside mine, and that there's a grace I don't count lightly. Being as most of the slaves around here, if you are situated with a husband or wife, you are separated throughout the work week. Very few of us get an opportunity to spend our time all week with our beloveds and our children. And that is how my life seems to be around here. And you seem to have caught me at a moments of peace. Yes, I know I'm supposed to be working on my stitching assignments for the Washingtons and such. I'm required to make 9 articles of clothing each and every week. I'm presently supposed to be working on shirts in preparation for our ration of clothing we receive. We get ourselves a ration of clothing. Yeah, 1 set of clothing for the spring, summer months of linen, lighter fabrics, and heavier things of wool for the winter months. And a pair of shoes and a blanket to keep us nice and warm. Unless we give birth to a child, then we get another blanket and a bottle of whiskey or rum, which is always well needed. Yes. And it's my life here, but I'm presently working on a quilted blanket for my daughter Rachel for her natal day approaching. Yes, it's taken me a great amount of time to collect all of this fabric, and on occasion when I'm given written permission, I go into Alexandria Town and get myself some fabric from the rag picks and such up there. And I'm assembling it into a nice, colorful quilt just for her. So when she receives her work assignment this year, she will have her very own special thing that she shall always cherish, I hope. It's the least I can give her, being that nothing else is much promised to me. Oh, do you seem to have any curiosities or queries that I could be of assistance with? Please forgive me. I have a tendency to speak on and on whenever I have an opportunity.
We do have a few questions. Thank you, Caroline. We have a question from Rachel in New York. She would like to know if you know how to read and if you get Christmas presents.
Oh, well, in this present year, 1798, right here in Virginia, there is no slave code, no law that says that we are not permitted to know how to read nor to write. As a matter of fact, there is an Alexandria Abolitionist Society founded by a group of Quakers up there, and they're willing to teach most anybody to learn how to read and write, slave, common folk alike. See, most Virginians are illiterate. Not saying that most Virginians are not wise people, it's just that most Virginians are farmers. And in order to be a farmer, you don't need to have book learning. You know to plant a seed in the ground, tend to it, and it does bear forth a crop in due time. So reading and writing and math skills and such are given to those that might require them for whatever labor is assigned to them. I myself, I've learned how to read a little bit from the Bible. Caesar, he's our preacher man down there on Dog Run Farm. He will teach most anybody that wants to read from the Bible, and being that Mrs. Washington is constantly taking an hour to devotions each and every morning, I'm forever hearing her reciting scripture after scripture. One of her favorite scriptures is, I have learned whatsoever state I am in, therewith to be content. It's quite easy for her to be content when I'm the one doing all the work to make her content. Still in all, I had Caesar show it to me where it was in the Bible, and I'm learning my scriptures as well and learning how to read along with it. And as far as the other query about whether or not I received Christmas presents, Christmastide is the season where we receive our ration of clothing, and we might get some extra foodstuffs. But as far as them being a gift set aside, I think of it more as a responsibility, a duty owed to Master Washington, being that he is to care for us as property. But thank you for your query, Miss Rachel, all the way from New York.
Thank you, Caroline. Amy would like to know what your living quarters are like here at Mount Vernon.
Oh. Amy has a query concerning my living situation in my quarters and such. I'm always to instruct visitors and guests wishing to see the quarters of the slaves that are here to go and to look at the deceptively large and impressive slave quarters which are attached to this building nearby. They're on the opposite side of the greenhouse. I like to say that our slave quarters and our situation around here is very much like a grand tapestry, to where on one side you see the most beautiful portrait that you ever could imagine, with all of the colors and details perfectly outlined and filled in. But on the other side of that beautiful tapestry are knots and mats and cuts and tears. But were it not for the cuts and knots and mats and tears, you would not have the beautiful design. So oftentimes people come by here and they see the beautiful slave quarters that are made out of brick, and they say, whoa, look at this, it's a nice place. Master Washington set up here for his slaves, so he must be very good to his slaves. I find art and the use of the word good and slave master in the same breath, but still in all, some slaves are required to stay there, and that is because you are required to live where you work. It makes good business sense. And that's some slaves. And still in all, they are separated from their families for the work week. The women stay at one end of the barracks and the men at the other end of the barracks, and they are required to sleep several to a bed, and some that do not have beds sleep upon a mean pallet on the floor. Still in all, people might say this is right nice compared to most common Virginians. To those people I say, a cage is still a cage no matter what it is made out of. I myself am one of the few, blessed if you wish, to stay in a cabin nearby. They are kept out of the sight of the visitors and such. Remember that grand tapestry, as they're considered poorly constructed and badly in need of repair. I stay there with my beloved Peter and all 6 of my beautiful children, 4 girls and 2 boys I do have. I'm quite blessed in that. And that is how we live up here on Mansion House Farm. And other farms also have small cabins as well. They do not have slave quarters such as we have up here.
Thank you, Caroline. So Chris would like to know if you have any family that works at the distillery or maybe at any of the other farms as well?
I do not know if I have any family outside of Mount Vernon, but I know that I don't have any other family that works on any of the other farm properties, such as the distillery or the grist mill. I do, however, know that everybody does come together come fishing season, which is fast approaching, and we all go down to one of 3 of the fisheries that Master Washington has alongside of the properties. And we all gather together there, and everybody has put their hands to labor in catching the fish and making of the nets and cleaning and gutting and salting of the fish, which is part of our food rations that we receive here, salted fish and cornmeal. And I consider most everybody, every person of color, no matter what proper they are, we're all family. So in one sense, yes, I have family that work in all of the outlying properties, and in another sense, no, I have no family that work in the outlying properties.
Thank you. And Jess would like to know, do you ever get to interact or converse with the famous guests who come to visit the Washingtons?
Do I get an opportunity to converse and interact with the visitors and the guests? Why, yes, I most certainly do. But for me to sit and have a conversation with them is not part of my instruction for the most part. Today is an exceptional day, and that Master Washington, after breaking a fast, has said, "Go out of doors, Caroline. Big greetings to my guests, answer curiosities and queries in my absence, Caroline." And I'm doing as Mrs. Washington always says. She says, conversation, like everything, requires practice. So I try to practice conversation at all turns, but very oftentimes my entering into conversation is a little awkward, if you wish to call it. I do, however, have most favorite visitors that have ever come here before, and amongst them would not be a dignitary such as you might have thought, but a small girl, 7 years of age, who was my most favorite visitor and guest that ever did come here, simply because she saw everything as brand new. She had never seen such wealth and luxury as was here. And I believe that she truly appreciated all of my care given to her. A sweet young child, Hannah Taylor, did come here by means of accident altogether. Fell asleep in a carriage while it was receiving some repairs in Alexandria town. Dear sweet child, I bet if you inquire of her today, of her visit here to Mount Vernon, she will most surely say that Caroline took good care of me, which I try to do with all my visitors and guests. But thank you for your query.
Jennifer is wondering what your hope for your 6 children as they become, what is your hope for your 6 children as they become adults?
My hope for my 6 children as they do become adults. I wish for them to lead a life much different than the one that I do lead presently. There is this preacher man, John Wellesley, that has said, liberty is the right of every human creature from the first time that it takes its first vital breath. And no man-made law can deprive him of that which he so freely receives from the laws of nature. I just wish for my children to be free. I care less about myself, but if my children can escape this world of bondage, of slavery would mean the world to me, and I would gladly sacrifice myself for any chance that my children would receive that freedom. Thank you for asking that query, as sensitive as it might be.
Thank you, Caroline. Vicki is wondering if you ever have time off where you're free to do what you would like.
Oh, goodness gracious. Vicki, do I receive time off where I'm free to do as I'd like? Even the time off that I do receive, or most slaves receive, is within structure or limitations. If we are to go about from farm to farm visiting our family, our kinfolk, or if even we are to go to Alexandria town, we are to receive written permission that says we have permission to leave the property and we are about on such and so other business and such. We are always being required to give accountability as to our whereabouts. Small moments that I steal to myself to work upon this quilted blanket or to go down and visit the cemetery are stolen moments, and they are quite precious to me. In my standards, there's no such thing as time away or time off. Time does come at a cost to everyone. It's just how much you're willing to pay for that time away.
Regina is wondering if you ever get to retire. Speaking of time off.
Yes, there are slaves that are retired from the labor, so to speak, meaning that there are very few things that they can do for the master or mistress that will be of much benefit to them. Having said that, there are laws in place that do state upon a slave's retirement or no longer being able to work, if they are too sick to work, too weak to work, too old to work, that they are still required to do other things such as knitting and sewing if their bodies would allow them to do as such. And then they are still required by the person that does own them to be given rations of food and clothing until their death. And this even is set into law in accordance with the manumission laws that state that even if they receive their freedom, their manumission from their time here on this earth, that they are required to be given a ration of food, clothing, shelter, until they do go into the earth, such as it is. But thank you for inquiring about that. I don't see me living long enough to retire in the manner in which you speak of.
We have a question from Elizabeth, wondering what your favorite meal is, or maybe what you eat here.
My favorite meals. Goodness gracious. Let's see. Oh, it is quite simple. I like to make kush for my children. Kush, it's like a cornmeal hash. We are given a ration of salted fish, cornmeal. And very often I might turn that into hoe cakes or cornbread and the likes. If you have extra of that particular portion, you can take and throw in some onions and some peppers, some seasonings and what have you. Stir it all up there in the skillet, and it makes a really nice cornbread hash, which we like to call kush, or kush, depending upon where you're raised up. And then my children often like my soft key as well, which is almost like a one-pot fish stew that I make as well. I eat most everything and anything that I could set my hands to. And my garden is doing quite well, and my chickens as well. It's always helpful to have chickens to raise and to sell and to exchange for goods and services. Thank you for your inquiry, though.
Thank you, Caroline. We have questions from several people wondering what Mrs. Washington was like as a mistress.
Oh, goodness. Mrs. Washington is Lady Washington. She's accustomed to a certain level of service. She has often been heard as describing us as lazy and ungrateful. I don't believe that she has knowledge that we know of these things, but that is the way that it is. She is the most excellent and gracious hostess, which is easy and to be if you have all of the help that she does have in most everything. She's a very meticulous steward over everything that is grown here and the things that are given out as far as rations. So she is very well in charge of what things happen in the kitchen and what things are grown in the garden. She's a very good overseer or mistress of the plantation. She is to other people different than what she is to me. But thank you for your inquiry.
Amy is wondering if you've ever traveled anywhere outside of Mount Vernon.
No, ma'am, I've never traveled anywhere outside Mount Vernon, save Alexandria town. My wish, though, is to be able to go all the way up to Philadelphia. I have heard that there are so many free people of color walking up and down the streets just as fine as you please. Hercules used to tell me of those stories of those people all the time when they come back from visits, him and Charlotte and Christopher as well, Christopher Shields. They tell me about all of the sights and everything there was up there in Philadelphia. And if you wish to be honest, I have told my children, if they ever receive an opportunity to get up and away from here, that they should perhaps go to Philadelphia. Perhaps they might find liberties that they are not privy to around here. Yes, I would like to go to Philadelphia and parts further than that as well. Again, thank you for your inquiry.
We have a question from Deanna wondering, how do you raise your children and work as much as you do?
Oh, goodness. How do I raise my children and work as often as I do? Oh, well, an infant child, while that child is still nursing, you are free to carry your baby with you. Strap your baby to your belly, to your back. Nurse the child when it is necessary, and set the baby down on a blanket someplace nearby. Once that child starts to toddle off and get underfoot, then they are quickly dismissed from the household and such. And as of late, Master Washington has dismissed most all of the slave children from playing out and about and around the mansion, as well as the gardens, save my Rachel. She is to assist in watering of the plants and such in the gardens. They did set some damage to some of his precious trees and shrubs at one particular time, so they are not to be seen or nearby. But for the most part, the older children look in after the smaller children, making sure that everybody stays out of harm's way. Those that are retired from labors, as we spoke of often and before, they assist in looking in after your children. It pretty much takes a whole community to raise one another's children. As I said before, we are all family, but then again, we are not. So everyone tries to make sure that everyone else's child is well cared for as best they possibly can.
Thank you, Caroline. We have a couple of questions about how many hours you work in a day and what time you start and end your day.
Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see. I start most days round and about 4 o'clock, round about time that the cocks start to crow. And I end most of my days, or I'm dismissed from the household round and about 9 o'clock in the eve. These are quite long days, and there are some that might say, well, Caroline, you're working in of doors with all of these people attending to their needs and such. Is it much better than being out of doors, laboring out in the hot sun, as the field workers might do? I don't consider it much better. The same, for the most part. There might be more hours this particular season and less hours required of me another particular season. But still in all, when your days are at someone else's command, it does not matter how long you are working or where you are working. It's just the simple fact that you are laboring for somebody else's benefit and not your own. So my days can be quite long. But thank you for your concern and your query.
Thank you, Caroline. We just have time for a couple more questions. Jamie is wondering, what would be the first thing you would do if you were freed?
Were my children free with me as well? Let us suppose that they were. I have not given very much thought to it, as most times I imagine my life would end with me being in bondage. The first thing that I might do if I were free would be able to go up to Alexandria throughout the week and not just at Slave Market on Sundays and walk in and out of the shops, purchasing whatever it is that I wish to purchase and exchanging goods and such, and speaking to whoever it is that I wish to speak to. I would rise when my body does say rise, and I would lie when my body does say rest. Those would be the first things that I would do. Hopefully, I would get an opportunity to do these things without fear of looking over my shoulder, being concerned as to who is watching me or expecting me to return soon. I should give more thought to that particular query, and perhaps I should come up with something even more fanciful.
We have a question from Don. He's wondering if you can sing us a song you might sing here at Mount Vernon.
Oh, goodness gracious. Donna wants for me to sing a song that I might sing here at Mount Vernon. There's a song that sometimes I sing when I go down to sit with my mother in the cemetery. If I get a moment, I slip down there, unawares to Master and Mistress Washington, who always seem that I should be about labor some way or another. And I recall this particular song. It is called Steal Away. And it's basically about that. How it was used as a message song when I was first taught it. How it is giving the message that now is the time to steal away from your labor, steal away from the master or the mistress or the plantation, to run away, to go and seek your liberty. Or it could also mean steal away to Jesus, steal away home to your eternal rest. I shall sing one short verse, knowing that we probably have other things to get on to, and I'm more than sure that it's my turn to be assisting and serving in the meal. So I'll sing one short verse for you. Steal away, steal away, steal away to Jesus. Steal away, steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here. My Lord, He calls me by the thunder. The trumpet sounds within my soul. I ain't got long to stay here. Steal away, steal away, steal away to Jesus. Steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
You're quite welcome. Thank you all for your very precious time. I don't count it lightly. Do enjoy the remainder of your days. And if y'all get an opportunity to come up here and visit us, please do. I'm always here. Caroline is always here.